Hi there, it's Rob here from the Gym Tin. I hope you're well. Welcome to this restorative stretch class. The idea behind this class is it's really for people who've done marathons, but actually you could use it for any distance that you do running for, or walking for, Nordic walking as well. But you can also use this for any sport as well. So this is all about trying to release off our hip flexors, trying to release off our calves, get our quads to release, and trying to open up our posture again. So when we're running, we tend to get quite tight. Our hip flexors here tend to give us a bit more contraction, and we get a bit of hypertonicity here, and also in our strong hamstrings, which leave us with a bit of knee flexion. It also tends to leave us in a bit of a rounded state, so we're kind of kyphotic, so our spine is tilting forwards. And the problem with that is as well that we add that into a westernized world, where we're constantly in a seated position, driving cars, and then on our phones and rounded in this position. So the idea of all of this is to increase your posture and to lift yourself up. So during this class, I'm going to be saying try and center your body, which basically means trying to lift from the middle here and keep it in the midsection, midline of the body. The other thing I'll be referring to is about lifting your sternum up to the ceiling. So if you find the bridge bone of your chest here, I want you to imagine that you're lifting that, pointing it up to the ceiling as you're working through the move. The other thing I'd like you to think about is what's happened to your shoulders. So if you're quite protracted, i.e. your shoulders are pointed forwards, maybe from a lot of typing, I want you to think about opening up these shoulders back into position, opening up the chest nice and high, and again, allowing that sternum to lift up, drive that pelvis forward. Grab a drink of water, close the doors, let people know you're taking part in the training session, and put some nice, slow, nice relaxing music in the background for you. Cheers. Okay, so from here, let's find a space. Now, as you can see, I'm doing all these exercises and I'm going to be doing them in bare feet. So, to do that, you'll need a nice comforting underneath the knuckles of your feet. So we're going to be rolling these feet forward and back. One of the key things from people who do long distance running and a lot of sport is that there's not enough flexibility and movement in those toes. So we're going to have a fist gap between our feet. We're going to drive our pelvis forward, and we're going to center our body and lift our chest up. We're going to open the chest by putting the shoulder blades back into position. We're going to allow those toes to roll forward and back, keeping the chest lifted up nice and high. From here, we're going to just tuck our elbows back into position. Now, I want you to turn so your palms are facing open. So your palms of your hand are facing forwards and open here. Our little fingers are going to come into the side of our body, and our elbows tuck tightly into the side of the body as well. Again, center your body, open your chest, put the elbows back. And you might find that this is enough to give you a big stretch through your chest. If you can't feel that, try and pull the shoulder blades back a little bit closer together. And I want you to lift, as you've lifted your chest, I want you to lift your chin slightly as well. Feel that movement through the ankle, through nice and slow controlled movements. From here, we're going to release, and we're going to just slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, falling down towards the floor, and then slowly pulling ourselves back up. We're going to check our toe position again before lifting and reaching our arms up overhead. Letting the arms come back before slowly coming back down again. Again, we're going to roll through the hips and slowly bring ourselves back up through and extending the fingers high up to the ceiling again. Again, we roll, we drop, we control, and we lift. And we keep this movement going on, slow, controlled movements. This isn't about can you touch your toes. This is about feeling the movement through your body. As you curl and you roll, you might find you can drop that a little bit further. You might find your hips extend forward slightly more. You might find your arms can come back slightly further behind you. Now, as you're doing this, close your eyes and feel what's happening through your body. You drop the chin on the chest and you roll down to the ground. You can sweep your hands and your arms away from you. You can lift and flick your fingertips up high and behind up to the ceiling. 2 more here. Last one. Hinge and roll. Knee extension, hip extension, raise. And release. Flex down to the right. Come back up. Repeat. Last one. And change sides. Again, reaching down to the side. Changing the hand position now so that the knuckles are facing forwards. And you're reaching your hands down the side of the body, the thumb dropping down the side, and then you're lifting back up to the side again. So the thumbnail is trickling down the side of the thigh. Your hips gently swaying backwards and forwards, back into plane. Last one here. And release, circumducting the hips. Circling around the opposite way. And release it. Okay, so coming down to the floor. We're going to roll onto our right side. And we're going to reach down and pick up our left foot. We're going to hold onto the bridge of the foot here. And we're going to lay on the right leg. Now, if you struggle for balance, flex your bottom knee up. If you've got it, extend the leg fully away. Now, I want you to get a straight line from your nose through to your toes. You should feel a nice big stretch all the way through the front of the thigh. We're trying to generate as much plantar flexion through the ankle, i.e. a strong, straighter line from the knee through to the tiptoe. As you're laying on this side here, you might find that the foot goes into cramp. If you do, just release the grip, roll onto your front slightly, give it a bit of a massage, and work it through and release it. Now, as we're working through the stretch, again, we're trying to keep tidally on the side of the body, and we're trying to push the pelvis forward. Now, remember at the start, we were talking about retracting that shoulder blade, putting it back down towards us, or to the floor. Now, in our standing position, we did that by pushing the pelvis forward and letting the shoulder blades come back towards each other, and the shoulders back into position. The hips stay driven forward, and the shoulders are back. From here, we're going to release the leg and extend fully out. We're then going to shake that leg, and we're going to pick that left foot back up. Again, flex the knee, take the heel to the bottom, and give it that knee flexion again. Again, we're going to pull on the bridge of the foot, drive the pelvis forward, and feel a nice big stretch through the front of the thigh. We're still working on this slow, controlled hold. Now, having done this stretch for about a couple of minutes, we're now going to start trying to push that left foot into our left hand. So we're pushing away and feeling a nice, strong contraction of the front of the thigh muscles. A nice big stretch there. Now, closing the eyes, we start to think about our breathing. It's a slow, deep breath in for 4, and a slow, controlled exhale for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And release that leg. Good work. Let the knee come forward of you, so you're in kind of this recovery position here. Now, if you've got a cushion, then that's brilliant, or a pillow, or if like me, you've just got a set of weights. We're going to roll forward onto our front, okay? And then we're going to take that left foot back up and place it on top of your pillow or whatever you've got to work through your stretch. We're now going to turn our pelvis so it's completely flat towards the floor. And this is going to allow us to get a bit of a stretch higher up through the front of that thigh. You're going to feel it higher up through that hip flexor. Now, if you've got good flexibility, you'll be able to get this heel all the way up to your bottom. Now, whichever side feels more comfortable for your cheek, turn the cheek to the side. And as you're working through this stretch, you're aiming for the top of the left hip to be grounding down towards the floor. And so all the hip flexors muscles of this, psoas, major, minor, the iliacus, the rec fem, they're all getting a nice, strong stretch out. Now, as we're working through this stretch, again, I want you to close the eyes, take a slow, deep breath in for 4, and then breathe out. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And again, slow, deep breath in for 4. Slow exhale for 8, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. And slowly release that foot away. Now, as you take that leg out into extension, whatever you've supported the front of your thigh with, I want you so that it's only on the top of the thigh. So you should be able to extend that leg away to straight and let gravity do its job. Now, if you're resting it on your knee, it needs to come higher up. Now, as you're doing this, you might find the shoulder starts to stiffen. Take that arm up and away, or stretch it overhead or out to the side. And it will show you something about how stiff you are in various parts of your body. At the moment, I can feel I can get a reasonable amount of extension through this left leg. However, I'm having to rotate so that I'm supinating, turning my big toe up. What I want to try and do is correct that. So I'm going to drive my pelvis to square. And I want that foot so that the knuckles from the big toe to the little toe are down to the floor. I've got a lovely long extension through that leg, and I'm allowing the hips to relax. Now, if you're not feeling any stretch whatsoever, you can build whatever is underneath your thigh. The target, though, is so that you can allow it to give full extension
of your knee joints. If at any point it feels like it's straining or hurting the leg, that's not the goal. Stretch it out and release. You should find that this enables you to relax out the hamstring quite nicely. And if you do a lot of running, this is going to encourage you to be able to get a fuller stride so you can stretch further in each leg stride and become more efficient as a runner. It will also allow you to be a bit more supple through the hamstring. And as a result, you'll be able to lift the heel up higher in a recovery phase of your stride, making you more efficient too. From here, let's relax off there. Let's swap over and we're going to do the other leg. So again, we're going to move these weights out of the way. We're going to lay on our left side this time. We're going to pick up our right foot. And again, we're going to be resting on this side. Again, you can flex the bottom knee up if you choose to. Drive the pelvis forward, keep your shoulders back. From here, you're going to grab that top leg. And if you need to, extend the bottom leg out straight. Now, I always feel with this stretch that if you're right or left dominant, that side is going to feel the stretch a little bit more than the other side. So what I mean by that, if you would normally kick a ball with your right foot, and this is our right leg that we are stretching at the moment, you might find this is a bit tighter in the leg. Again, we're going to rest our head down to a position that feels comfortable. It's a lovely, deep, long stretch through the quad. Now the target here is that we're making sure that it's our right hand connecting our right foot and our pelvis is driven forward. Now feel what happens with this bottom leg. My left leg should be directly in a straight line, leading up through my chest through to my shoulder. The back leg should be back and flexed, holding to position. And from here, we're slowly going to release that foot out. Shake the top leg out as if you're kicking away. And then we're going to pick up that foot again, drive the heel to our bottom, drive the pelvis forward. This time again, we're going to keep our hand on the right hand on the bridge of our foot here. We're going to keep the knees stacked one on top of the other. We're driven on the pelvis forward, the shoulders are back into plane, and the right thigh is stretching nicely. This time we're now going to push the bridge of the foot into that right hand, driving it away nice and strong. We're closing the eyes, again focusing on the breathing. Slow deep breath in for 4. Slow exhale out for 8, 5, 3, 2, 1. Release the pressure on the push. Let go of the leg, extend and kick it away. We're going to work the same thing again, grabbing that top foot. Again, pushing the leg away into the hand. Getting that bottom leg underneath the straights, getting a straight line from the toes through to the chest. Keeping the knees stacked one over the top of the other. Then the extension through. From there, we're pushing into the hand with the foot. A nice big extension through the front of the quads. Nice big stretch. From here, releasing. Shaking it out, kick out both legs. And from here, we're going to roll to that front again. Again, taking decision as to which side you turn your face. Grabbing that top foot, take the heel to your bottom. Take that heel into your bottom. Now again, if you feel that stretch and you feel like your foot's about to cramp, just release it, release off the foot. You might find you start to cramp in the hamstring as well. So you need to release out, let it go, feel the stretch and release. Once you then get it back into position, give a good wiggle on your hips and just try and close your mind and relax the body. Now, if your hamstring is cramping, it's either one of two things. It could be that you can't reach the can't reach the shin or the foot. And if that's the case, grab a towel and you can loop it around your foot and pull in on the towel to give you a bit more range. If the hamstring is starting to feel it again, relax the pelvis. Get the pelvis flat to the floor. Don't worry so much about trying to get the heel to the bottom. Trying to keep the knee down to the ground, keep the pelvis into the ground. Feel that stretch in the front of the thigh. If you're cramping in the hamstring, it's an indication the hamstring is not relaxed and it's trying to engage into the activity. It's an indication that your hip mobility isn't as good as you think on this side. And we'll be able to prove that when we raise up the thigh in the next move. We're slowly going to release that foot, give it a shake out, and we're going to bring in whatever you've got as your elevation underneath the front of that right thigh. Roll back onto the thigh, and again we want that elevation to be just above the knee. As we drive the pelvis back into square, the hips go flat, we then grab that top leg and take it through a stretch again. We're driving the pelvis down. We're feeling that lengthening through the top of the thigh, into the hip. We're feeling what's happening in that hip flexor, iliacus, the psoas major, the rec fem, all of these muscles that help to raise that knee up to the chest. As you do this stretch, can you feel that the left hip is down to the ground, or is it starting to elevate up? And as you then relax, you're going to drop that right shoulder down to the ground. And feel a nice big extension through that right leg. And again, just trying to extend that leg down. Now, if you're finding you're getting that extension quite easily, make sure your pelvis is square. Make sure both bones down to the ground. Pointy bits up on our pelvis, but down, driven to the ground. In the lengthening through the back of the leg. You're going to drop our arms down so the knuckles are down to the ground. Thumb to finger down, knuckles down to the ground. Shoulders completely relaxed, body fully extended. And as you're doing this, you should feel a nice stretch, perhaps through the back of the hamstring, perhaps the lower back. Again, if you're keeping the shoulders nice and straight, both chests, so all of the chest down to the ground and flat, then you might find some aggravation in the shoulder, in the rotator cuff perhaps, in those four muscles. And if that's the case, time to do some shoulder mobility and stretching. Well done. Slowly coming out of that, let's take our hands to the floor and roll ourselves out of that, minding your support out the way and just dropping yourself through into a child's pose position. It's a nice way of just lengthening your lower back. And if you keep your chest up and your chin up, try and push your bottom back over your heels. And there, walking yourself up
onto your shins if you can. If you're struggling with that, whichever you can work through, you might have to wedge a pillow underneath your bottom. From there, standing yourself up into a stride, taking yourself up into standing. From there, shake it up. Walking your hands down the front of your shins, check the feet and that fist gap apart again. Hinging from the hip, feel the length through the back of the legs. From there, slowly take yourself back into standing. Roll your fingers, roll May, round the other way, shake out the arms. Really, really well trained. Grab yourself a good drink of water as always with any stretch session that you do. You should try and drink at least a couple of pints of water afterwards to help flush out those toxins and that inflammation. If you did it live, hashtag live. If you did it on replay, hashtag the replay. And as always, if I can help, please get in contact. I'll see you next time for the next one. Well trained. Cheers.